Greg, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts around potential market share for the iBuyers sector?
So I think it's going to be a big segment. I think that it's going to, I've been watching the residential real estate business for my whole life. I've been in it, and there have been a lot of challengers that have come along, and from the first day the internet collided with the real estate brokerage business, it was going to take out the industry, and one new business model after another was kind of like a bug on the windshield, never quite was able to penetrate the power of the multiple listing service and the co-opetition of the industry. This is such an end run around it that this is, I think, the first time that easily double-digit market share is going to get taken away from the traditional way of doing it. And I think the people that want to cooperate with you folks are being very smart in that regard of stepping up and leaving the ideology aside and stepping up and considering you to be people that can generate some revenue with maybe non-traditional, but adapt their businesses to fit themselves into the mix.
I think on why we've seen consistency and stability in rental rates and single-family rentals, historically there haven't been resources for landlords to understand what their market rent could be. Those resources are becoming more available to them, so we may see a little bit more variability in that. But also the resident is sticky. It's a difficult process as a resident in a single-family rental home to relocate. You've got more square footage, you've got more stuff, you've got a garage, you've got a yard, you've got more things, you've got potentially appliances, things that you need to relocate, and it's a difficult process. We ultimately see the longevity inside a single-family rental significantly longer than what you see in a multifamily in terms of the duration of occupancy. So I think those two things contribute to why there's been stability.
So if I were a betting man, my guess would be that when we do enter a slow growth or negative growth period in the economy and in job growth, typically, at least on the initial end, the lower end of the job and wage market tends to be affected first, and that matters for single-family rental investments if you are investing on that on that more affordable end of the market. It tends to be more volatile, and that's just also reflective in the volatility of prices that sit below median price in most markets.
There is absolutely an affordability issue in some parts of the market. But if you really look at different cohorts, and we're so focused on the single-family rental cohort, in fact, the average house that we finance is only $150,000. That house is workforce housing, and it is absolutely in demand, and there's going to be a scarcity of it over the next decade. So I think it's actually almost a defensive move against some of the things that are happening in the broader housing market. I don't think we're going to see this across-the-board decline like we saw last time, because the demographics just don't support it. You have too much household formation over the next several years and no place to put those households. And the cohort of household formation is in the exact spot where I think that the single-family rental is the most robust, right? Absolutely, people are going to have problems moving into the next level home. The mortgage rates are going to be too high. They're not going to be able to get out of the one they have. I think even the $300,000, $400,000 price point house is going to start having problems, not just the high-end luxury. But the basic workforce housing is, I think, actually a very attractive defensive measure for the next decade.
Real estate is an asset like other assets, but it is also something that people make a lot of judgments about based on their emotional impression of the appearance of the property. How are you using technology, photos, or videos in new ways to make this accessible to people, and what impact does that visual impression or video or photo technology have on your buyers?
We've been able to use technology to do some pretty cool things. We work with a company called Inside Maps, where we can go in and take imaging of the inside of the house and strip out all of the furniture and the dirty dishes and that to present the home so that people can visualize it. And I do think that helps a lot. We embed curbside views in our on our homes so that you can actually, from your laptop, go and look up and down the street.
For the businesses that you folks run, can you speak a little bit about any sort of physical inventory that you need to carry in order to provide your services at the highest level?
I think this question was mainly for those of you out there that might have an in-house team. right? You know, and so really it's based upon the philosophies of your company. What percentage of your jobs are being done in-house? What types of jobs are being done in-house? We have so many different clients that have different standards in terms of, you know, they vend out 75% versus somebody else vends out 30 or 40%. So, you know, once you get into that level, you know, you can kind of dial in. And I think that's where having the analytics, as you spoke to, of what does your business need? What do you purchase a lot? And whoever's in charge of your inventory or making those buys, you need to figure it out, and also how you're going to keep track of it so you don't have waste.
Here's what you need to know. Like, someone like Beth came from a large institutional financial background. I came from a legal background. You know, prior to 08, the capital markets dictated how lending trickled down into the mom and pops and small developers, period. Everything was done top down. Now everything is done virtually in absolute reverse. So what's really exciting for all of you, other than potentially some bankers in here, is you guys become the market makers. So I think really what is sort of pivoting in this industry now is the fact that those of us who are in either the development space, the operating space like Greg, or the financial spaces, we get to call the shots a lot more about what's going to happen, because the one thing you'll know going into this year, no matter what's still, regardless of how much rates rise, is there is a dearth of yielding products institutionally in the marketplace. That means every day when every asset sort of manager in the credit side of the US wakes up, they have to find products to invest in. And that gives all of you and us up here a lot of opportunity to figure out what those products are. And if the product is not just 1 to 4, and it's not just multifamily, and it's not just mixed use, but it's all of those things in one deal, well, so be it. And that's really, I think, the shift that's taking place.